Hey guys, welcome to your 9-5 notes on completing the square. Now remember, a square is a shape with 4 sides and they're all the same and they're right angles. Haha. Okay, yes, that's true. But also we think of a square as like if you have some distance x and then you multiply it by its distance x, then inside the area of x squared. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to remember polynomials that make a perfect square because they have the same side length. So this would be equal to x plus h quantity squared. So you can solve any quadratic equation by writing it in the form of something squared equals some other number. So like a group of things, G equals H, like that. You'll also remember from our factoring unit that a perfect square trinomial is one that we get when we multiply a plus b squared, right? If we do a plus b times a plus b, we'll get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That's what we're going for. There's always this 2 in the middle. There's a middle term right there. We've got a 2 times something. And then we've got a perfect square over here. We've got another perfect square over there. Okay, that whole thing. We're really going to care about these two today. So that's exciting. So we know that each of these is a perfect square trinomial because it fits this pattern. And now the question is, well, what numbers do we need? Or what are the numbers, I guess, in this pattern? Okay, so here, what I do is I look at I'm going to make these all gray, actually, so it's not like our real work kind of deal. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so look at this first term, and this first term has to be something squared, and this last term has to be something squared. So x squared is, x squared. 16 is 4 squared. 16 is 4 squared. And now we just need to check, does this match the middle? If we take our last term, add it to our first, not add it, but multiply it to our first term. I'm going to need some space. Give them some space, guys. Is that 2 times those square roots together? Is that 2 times x times 4? Yeah, 2 times x times 4 is 8x. So that works. Awesome. So the numbers we care about are x and 4. So this is equal to x plus 4 quantity squared. Ta-da! That's where that came from. So that's super cool. I really shouldn't be using green because I'm going to use green later. But, oh well. Okay, same thing. We want to figure out, does it fit the perfect square pattern? Now, I always check the extremes. Go to the extremes, guys! Okay, 4a squared, that's equal to something squared, and 9b squared, that's going to be equal to something squared. Well, 4 is 2 squared, and a squared is a squared, so that gives us 2a squared. Yay! And 9b squared, well, 9 squared of 9 is 3, squared of b squared is b. Cool! Now let's join them together to see if it fits our pattern. Is that 2 times the first one times the second one? Was that 2 times 2a times 3b? Not quite, because it's positive, which means something needs to be negative. So we'll make that a negative 3b. And now the whole thing's negative. Okay, so that's equal to 2a plus, nope, I did it again. 2a minus 3b, that whole quantity squared. And we put our answers in boxes. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for this last one, take a look at it and pause this video. What do you think this is going to be? All right, this is equal to c minus 8 squared. Now I'm going to show you a faster way. I'm going to work backwards and show you how I got there. So yes, we look at these guys and figure out, okay, what are their square roots? But we can actually check out from the middle, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. So you'll notice that when we take this guy, we know he's going to be twice what we need. Okay. So negative 16, if we divide it by 2, we get negative 8. So we have negative 16 divided by 2 equals negative 8. And then, well, because this is 1. Oh, this shortcut I'm going to show you only works when you have a 1 right here. There, now we have a 1 right there, so we can use it. Okay, but now we know what our b is. That's cool. Now let's just square it. And if we square negative 8, we get 64. And that is our completing the square rule. Oh, I jumped ahead. I just got so excited. Okay, we're going to use that same formula. Down here, we're going to figure out, okay, what does C have to be to make this a perfect square? Well, we know we need to take our middle guy and divide him by 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. So whatever C is, that has to be 9 squared. Because we're trying to get x plus 9 squared. So the number we're going to add is 81. We want C to be 81. Now here with B, we want to figure out what is C going to be. So we take this guy and we divide him by 2. We figure out, okay, well, what's half of 30? Negative 30, actually. Negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15. But then to square that, we get whatever 15 squared is, which is 225. Because if this is 225, then we can make this equal to g minus 15 squared. Don't believe me? Foil it out. And then finally, what do you think we should add here to make this something squared? Since we've got a z here, this is going to be equal to z plus or minus something squared. What is that number? We want this number to be 5. So what does this number have to be? 25. Nice. So I kind of gave away the pattern a little bit earlier. If you want to make x squared plus bx a perfect square, then you need to add whatever your b guy is. You need to take b, divide him by 2, and then square it. That's what we've been doing this whole time. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 squared is 81. Negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15. Negative 15 squared, 225. And that's where 25 came from. 10 divided by 2, 5. 5 squared, 25. Now this 9, this thing, the number that we square, keep that in mind because that's going to go inside of your square. So just like a 9 showed up here, a 9 showed up there. Just like a negative 15 showed up here, negative 15 showed up here. You would have worked with 5, and then that 5 showed up there. So keep those numbers close. Keep your b over 2 close. So let's solve each equation by completing the square. We're going to do this twice. First, I'm going to walk through the problem, telling you what I did, and then we're going to follow the steps on a new problem. Looking back, I probably should have switched to them. So I'm actually going to do that right now. Wow, that was so fancy. Good job, me. So anyway, while we're buying ourselves some time, this is actually how I make Spanish worksheets. Is I type the answers in ahead of time, and then I cover them with white. And then when it comes time to reveal the answer, instead of taking the time to write it all out, I just go, ta-da, and there's the answer. So anyway, we'll put the steps here instead. Yay, that's going to be so good. Oh, look at us go. Okay, so we've got this guy here, and we want to figure out how to make this expression a perfect square. But it's not a perfect square because there's a 15 in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that 15 for now by subtracting 15 from both sides. Now these 15s will cancel out. Awesome. So I'm left with x squared plus 9x equals negative 15. You'll notice I left a space here. That's on purpose. Leave a space there because we're going to need to add something here to make this a perfect square. But what do we add? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. We need to take our b value, and we take our b, divide him by 2, and then we'll square him. I'm going to take that every single time. Okay, in this case, our b value is 9. 9 over 2 squared. Oh, that's gross numbers. Who picked gross numbers? Oh, well. Is 4.5 squared, which is 20.25. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this one. I should have picked a different one. Anyway, so that's the number that we want to add to both sides. So we're going to add 20. I wrote way too big. I'm just so excited. We need to add 20.25 to both sides. So good, so good. Okay. Now, why did we do this? We did this because now this is a perfect square trinomial. It's a perfect square trinomial, and we can write it as a square because it's equal to x plus something squared. But what is that something squared? Well, because this is a perfect square, it's going to be b over 2 and the square root of 20.5. Fortunately, we already know what that is. It's 4.5. So that's really convenient. Okay, we've been, we worked really ahead on the one side. Now we need to go catch up on the other side. Okay, on the other side of the equation, we've got negative 15 plus 20.25 is 5.25. It's still 5.25, which is great. Now, how do we undo this square? Well, the way to undo a square is to take the square root. The square root and the square will cancel out, giving us just x plus 4.5. The square root of 5.25 is 2.29. But wait, square roots have positive and negatives. So the square root is, yes, positive 2.29, but also negative 2.29. Why does this make sense? Well, I'll show you a simpler example. Guys, what's the square root of 9? Well, it's 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. Super. Surprise, it's also negative 3. Because negative 3 times negative 3, negative times a negative gives us a positive 9. So the square root of 9 is positive 3, but it's also negative 3. So plus or minus 3. Yep. Okay, sweet. Now we're almost there. Because we've got this plus or minus guy, we're actually going to split him into two equations. We're going to have our plus side and our minus side. So we have x plus 4.5 equals a positive 2.29, or x plus 4.5 equals a negative 2.29. Now that we've got those two equations in place, we can solve for x on both sides. We'll get x equals negative 2.21 and x equals negative 6.79. Awesome! So just like when we solve with factoring, we've got two answers. Here we've got two solutions. We still have 2 solutions. Okay, that was cool. That was weird. That was abstract. What happened? Well, the first step, we needed to clear this guy out. How would we describe that? Just like set up x squared plus bx with a space. Yeah. And then what we did here was we needed to add our b squared over 2. Whoa! We needed to add a b squared over 2 to both sides. Yeah, we need to remember that. On both sides. Sweet, okay. Well, what did we do in this step? Well, we wrote it as a perfect square. So that was like something plus something squared. And then we took the square root of both sides. Keeping in mind, wow, that was weird. The square root is a plus or minus. In fact, the plus or minus is the important part. So I'm going to make this gray. Take the plus or minus of both sides, and that means we split into a positive and negative and solve. Those are our steps. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. Our first step, we need to set this up into an x squared plus bx. Oh, hey, look, we already have that. That's really nice. X squared plus 2x plus something equals 8. Hey, that was cool. Okay, now we need to add our b over 2 squared to both sides. So here our b is 2. So that's going to be equal to 2 over 2 squared. 2 over 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Awesome. Remember that a 1 squared, that'll come in handy later. 1 is the number we want to add. So we want to add 1 to both sides. We can write this guy as a perfect square. How can we do that? Well, that's going to be equal to x plus something squared. And that something is 1. Oh, so good. Okay, x plus 1 squared, cool. 8 plus 1 is 9. Awesome. So now as we simplify this, we're going to take the square root of both sides, giving us x plus 1 equals, hey, square root of 9. I feel like we just did that. Square root of 9 is 3, but guess what? It's plus or minus 3. Yay, we took the plus or minus. What are we going to do now, guys? Let's divide and conquer. Okay, that was a bad math joke because we're not actually going to divide. We're going to add and subtract. Anyway, we'll take a page out of Hannah Montana's book and get the best of both worlds as we split here. I guess, the negative side, I should put the negatives on this side because negative feels like chill it out, take it slow, and then here, rock out the show. But, yeah, get it. Okay, we split our equation into 2 parts, and now we need to solve it. This will give us x equals 2, and this will give us x equals negative 4. Awesome! We can always check our work by taking our x value, plugging it back in here. It'll be true. I've done this before. It's right. Awesome. Cool. Yay. Completing the square takes a long time. Look at all those steps. Why is it helpful? It's helpful for finding the vertex. Remember in a parabola, if you have a vertex, awesome. The vertex is going to be this point right here. It's like the middle guy. He's on the axis of symmetry type of deal. Okay. The vertex is super easy to help you graph it. If you know what the vertex is, your graph is going to come real nice. So vertex form, make sure you write this down. This is very important. Vertex form of a parabola is when you write it in y equals something squared plus something. And inside you have x minus h. Check out that minus. That's very important. I need more colors. Is what I need. Can never have enough colors. My mom's an art teacher. Can you tell? Okay, so anyway. So I got the hiccups. But what's new, right? Okay, where H is your X value of your vertex. And more colors. What haven't we used yet? Weird pink. Brown. Brown it is. Okay. Hey, it's K. So the vertex is going to be at some H value X. Nope, some X value H. And some Y value K. Like that. That's vertex form. We want to get this looking like that. But how do we do that? Oh, look, there's something squared. We want to find out the something squared. So we're going to use completing the square. Let's follow the steps for completing the square, but not all of them. Because all we care about is getting a something squared. Okay, so first we want to set up y equals x squared plus 6x plus 8 to look like x squared plus 6x with a space in it. So how are we going to get that space there? Well, we need to send that 8 to outer space, I guess. Get them on the other side. Okay, catch you on the flip side, 8. So here we've got y minus 8 equals frozen iPad. X squared plus 6x plus something. But we're trying to get a perfect square. How can we get a perfect square? Oh, I know. Let's add b squared b divided by 2 squared. I don't think I've said that correctly in this entire lesson at all. Our b value here, 6. So that's a 6 over 2 squared. 6 over 2 is 3. What's up with this number? We did this so many times. 3 squared is 9. So we need to add 9 to both sides. I promise there are other perfect squirrels in this world besides 9. Anyway, negative 8 plus 9 is 1. So we get y plus 1 equals, oh hey, the whole reason we did this is because this is a perfect square. It's going to be x plus something. That something is a 3. Hey, do we have vertex form yet? We're so close. The only thing is we're trying to get y all by itself. So to get y by itself, we need to subtract 1. Watch this, subtract 1. Okay, I wrote it like that for a reason. Because I can do this and be like, plus 1, minus 1, gone. Oh, or maybe I just can't do that. Gone. And then suddenly, whoa, 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 vertex form. In this case, our h, positive 3, our k, negative 1. So what is the vertex? Well, if we have h comma k, our vertex is at 3, negative 1. Amazing. There it is. That's how to find the vertex. You just want to find something squared. Eee. Just for thoroughness, we'll put this guy down here too. Because this video isn't long enough, so I'm going to be super pedantic about it. Ta-da! And then we got our H. We got our K. Okay. That's cool and stuff, but when are we going to use this in real life? Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you with my favorite flower. True story. Tulips are my favorite flower. Now, I'm going to make a flower garden, and I like squares. So, in my flower garden, I'm going to have perfect squares like this. 1 square. Look at that perfect square drawing I drew. Amazing. Completely ineffable. I don't even think that's the word I'm going for. But anyway, square, square, square. Problem? I don't know how big my square is. If only there was some mathematical way we could find out. Well, I know that I have enough concrete and dirt to make my total area 150 feet squared. What is the side length x of each square? How big can I make my squares? Well, let's look at the area. I know that my total area is going to be 150 feet squared. And I also know that that's going to be equal to the length times the width of this whole thing. So we need to figure out an expression for this length and then also an expression for this width in terms of x. Okay, in fact, I should have given myself a little bit of space to write on. Okay. We don't need you. This is extra information that we're not going to need today. Okay, so what is the length of this thing? Well, we've got 1 plus x plus x plus x plus 1. So the width is equal to 3x plus 2. Check out how many x's we have. We've got 1, 2, 3 x's. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, what about our length? Well, we've got 1 here, we've got x, and we've got another 1 here. So that's 1x plus 2. Hey, length and width! Awesome! Now we have an expression. Yay! Okie dokie. So I'm going to take my length, multiply it by my width. Length times width is that guy. Now take a second to FOIL it out. Okay, you should have gotten 3x squared plus 8x plus 4. Now, okay, remember that this is still equal to 150, so I'm going to put a little 150 guy right there. Awesome. Now, we want to solve for, we want to solve it. So we're going to use our completing the square steps. Man, how convenient was this? This was a brilliant idea. Here we go. Okay, first, we need to give him some space, guys. Give him some space. So let's get rid of that 4, move him to the other side. We've got 146 equals 3x squared plus 8x plus something. What's that going to be? Just kidding. We can't use that yet because we don't have x squared plus bx. We have 3x squared plus 8x. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. Once we do that, those will cancel out, and we're left with 8/3 x. We got x squared plus 8/3 x. Then we're going to figure out, okay, what needs to go here before we do 146 divided by 3. I'm going to just leave it. Man, I'm writing way too big. I'm just very excited. Okay, we've got our system set up. Now that's too small. This is like the Goldilocks of note-taking today. That's okay. We need to add b squared over 2 to both sides. It's gonna get real complicated. Because look at our b. It's 8/3. Oof. So that's gonna be 8/3 over 2 squared. Oof. Why did I do that? Oh. 8/3 divided by 2 is the same thing as 8/3 times 1/2 is 8/6 is 4/3. Haha! That's nice. Delete. So that's the same thing as 4/3 squared, which is 16 divided by 9. Oh, okay, that was cute. Need to rewatch that? Go ahead and rewind and watch that. Regardless, we're adding... Oh, why are you so fat? 16 over 9 plus 16 over 9 on both sides. Awesome. Okay, on this side, we get 454 over 9 equals... This guy's a perfect square trinomial. It's equal to x plus something squared. That's something? 4/3. Man, guys, take a breath, because real life problems, numbers get messy. But that's okay. Sometimes in life, it gets messy. But you know the steps you need to take, and you follow them. And sometimes, even if you don't know the steps, just keep going, and you might end up stepping your way through your problem. Anyway, to get all that square out, let's take the square root of both sides. We end up with plus or minus the square root of 454 over 9, which I'm going to leave and then plug into my calculator later. Hey! By the way, how does a mathematician say goodbye? Calculator! Okay, anyway. Subtract 4/3 from both sides. That gives us negative 4/3 plus or minus the square root of 454 over 9. Now I ran out of room to keep going farther. So we get two answers. After we split that, we split, we solve. After we split that, here's the result. We get x is approximately 5.77, or x is approximately negative 8.44. Which one is correct? Well, let's remember what x represented. X is a length of a square. So which one of these is a length? Last time I checked, you can't have negative length. You can't have negative length. So you must go with your positive answer. I need to make my squares approximately 5.77 feet. That's really big. That's like 6 feet. I'm probably 5.77 feet tall. Like, I think I am. What if that's... Wow. That would be so exciting. I could just lie down on the ground and then measure with me. Okay, anyway. Stick to the steps. Keep going. Make a perfect square trinomial. Take the plus or minus square root. And even when life gives you positives, even when life goes negatives, stick with it. Have a great time on your homework.